Happy Halloween! Here are my favorites for 2023. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. The first project is going to be a Halloween cone or a Tussie Mussy. We are going to start off with a couple of things. I've got some tulle that's black. I have some different types of trims in orange. You can see these were just Easter from Dollar Tree. I've got a variety of picks from Dollar Tree. These are like, I guess, cupcake picks. I have some thin tinsel, some ruffly lace trim, a little bit of plastic insects from Dollar Tree. I've got some floral pins, a foam, and this is just a cone, and then I have some fabric. So this cone is going to be about 9 inches long. You can use whatever size you want, and you will cut your beautiful fabric, which mine I got at the thrift store. You will cut that fabric to whatever size you need. All right, so to determine my sizing, I am going to take that cone, start in the corner of my fabric, and kind of roll this over, making sure that it will go over the end of the cone because that biggest part of the cone is going to be the top. I'm going to cut this off now that I know how much I'm going to need and save the rest of this beautiful fabric for some more projects. Now I'm going to start by putting the pretty side of the fabric down on the table, taking my floral pins. I'm going to twist a little bit, and then I'll use those pins to help me hold everything tightly and in place. I don't want any wrinkles. I want this to be very smooth and elegant. So just keep twisting that cone, and it will come to a point on the end, and it will look like this. You're going to have some excess. I got my pattern lined up the way I like it for the front. The back doesn't really matter because it'll be against the wall or a door. I'm going to start by putting the pins in here. And these pins are going to help hold everything in place until we are ready to glue this down. Hot glue doesn't work so much on foam, so it works a little bit better to use pins until you can do fabric on fabric. And I hope that makes sense to you, just explaining it that way. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go in there since my pins are holding it in place for me, and I'll grab my hot glue and just start working up the cone until it is glued down all the way to the top. Just taking my time. And then you can use a spatula, you can use anything that you have, protect your fingers, and you can use that to press those pieces on top of one another. So I'm going to trim this top down. I really only need about 1 inch to overlap. Probably don't even need that much. I could go with less, but I don't want to take a chance of cutting it too short. Because you know I don't do a lot of measuring on my channel. We eyeball things, don't we? Yes, we do. All right. I'm an impatient crafter. I like to get it done. So, as I said, glue doesn't work so great in foam situations, especially this type of floral foam. But I'm just doing the best I can to get it laid down. I'm going to add some. If you use a cool temp, that's a better option. The glue seems to go through the plastic and it eats into the foam. And then the glue picks off of the foam. So we don't want that. We want everything to stay tightly in place. And with that said, I'm going to grab some more of these pins and I'll be securing the top. The glue is dry on the sides now. We can take those out. And we have the base of our beautiful cone. And this is the back. You can see where the seam is here. These are some little beaded necklaces that you can get from Dollar Tree or anywhere, really. These came out of a treat pack for Halloween last year. So I'm going to use these as my hanger. Now, you can do a hanger that goes across equally on both sides, rather like if you had a basket and you have the handle going across the center. But I like to hang mine from the doors, and to do it that way, I like to just put the hanger on the back. And that also will keep me from having to worry about the hanger hitting the items that I put on top, because this cone is going to be very full, very full. And I want to make sure I have plenty of hanger on there to get it secured to whatever, wall or door I want to put it on. All right, so I'm going to let that glue dry. I kind of put it under the pin and then put glue on top, and it's not going to come out now. Then I'm going to start decorating. This is the fun part, y'all. And I've made Tussie Mussies before a few times on my channel, But generally it's paper or tissue paper that, I would use for something like that. But this fabric was just screaming to me that this needed to be done with it. Very circusy, vintagey. I just love this. A little harlequin. Yes. So I'm going to grab some trims. I've got some of this black lace trim. I'm going to take some of the pom-pom trim and cut it down so that we can make almost like a collar on the top. We're going to decorate that top. Protect those fingers. And then we're going to glue those in place. And now that we're putting it on fabric, we can use the hot glue and we don't have to use the pins necessarily. So I'll take that trim and take that edge almost all the way to the top. Not completely, but almost. I want to be sure that it has plenty of grip onto the fabric that I have on the base of this cone. So we'll go all the way around here, putting down this beautiful black trim. Now this lacy looking trim came from the thrift store, and I got a huge wad of it, I guess. I don't know another word for it, but it was just all over the table at Goodwill, and I just kind of spooled it up around my hand. I knew I had to have it, and I've had it for a few years and use it in my vintage and in regular Halloween. I just love it. But you can find it, probably at any craft store, some type of a lace trim that you like to use. I like the fact that it is a trim that already curves because it goes around the cone really nicely. So I'm going to be layering here, and I'll put that little pom-pom garland all the way up to the edge where it overlaps on the lace and kind of seals off our edge. And then we're going to take some of the tinsel. I pulled this tinsel off of a pumpkin from Dollar Tree last year or the year before because I used the base for another project. If I can remember which project that was, I will try to put that in the description box so you can see it. But I have loads and loads of Halloween playlists and videos for you to watch if you want to watch more. And I will put something at the end of the video as well for you. Okay, so we're just going to go round and round and round until this is all over. The pins work best for this because it's hard to glue the tinsel down because the plasticky parts keep melting. But you do it whatever way is easiest for you. Now I'm going to take some more trim, and this happens to be the same width as the little pom-pom ribbon or trim, so I'm going to use this here, and it is in our orange colors and in black, and I like that. It's not an exact match, but that is not a concern of mine. All right, so I've got some stir sticks, and I have got a headband that is a cute little witch hat, and I thought, hey, we're going to use this. So you just pull the bottom little panel off and pull the headband part off, and y'all can get these little things just about anywhere. I know you can. I see them all the time. You could probably get them at Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to go around with the hot glue and seal my bottom back off. This is how it is going to look on the cone. I'm going to take a little leftover stick from some floral. This is just a little wire from florals that I had cut off. I'm going to take a slice in the middle, fill it up with some glue, and then put that in there and give it a couple of minutes to stiffen and dry. I'm putting it slightly off center so that it'll be a little bit crooked. I'm going to add a little spider ring. I cut the ring part off and I put that on the top. And I'll take my stir sticks, cut that at a slant on the bottom with my cutters. Now we're going to make some little signs to go down on the inside of the cone as well. I will link this. This is from Amazon. This is a big package of these prints in a bunch of different sizes. And I am going to be using them a lot. So if you like them, go and grab them, and we will be crafting these things together. But you can print anything off the computer that you have. You can use a Halloween card and cut pictures off. You can use magazine pieces, scrapbook paper, whatever you want to use for this. I thought these signs would be gorgeous in here, and I will let you decide if I achieved that. So I'm just going to put them on some foam board to make them thicker. And I use my glue stick, and the purple will fade when it is dry. It's just a school glue stick. And I'm going to cut the foam off and make these into little squares. All right, so now I can decide where we want to put the hat. I'm going to put it off the side here, just like this. And I am loving this already. I'm taking an acrylic marker, but you can use paint, whatever you want, and I'm just covering over the pick part of these little cuties so they kind of go into the background. That I have bats and pumpkins. These are some little vintage looking pumpkins and a cupcake topper that I got at the thrift store. And I'm going to add those in. You know, with the vintage things, they have lots of little goodies going on in the top, and it just looks so festive and happy and exciting for Halloween. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. I added my little picks in, then I'm going to add the ghost in, and he's kind of sitting amongst the things, keeping in mind where the back is while I'm putting everything in. I'm going to add a little pumpkin here because he looks very vintage to me, and he could be. I found a bunch of these. And I'm going to glue the hat down just to kind of keep it to that side angle. I'll take another one of those stir sticks, cut it at a slant, and add it to the back. This is just a little pom-pom on a stick that I have here, and you can see the downward spiral that I have. It looks really cute to me, y'all. But now let's add the piece de resistance. We're going to take the picks off the bottom, and we're going to be using those in these little photos that we have. Now I'm only going to use 2 of these. I decided just to use 2. And I'm going to take the pokey side and push into that foam. If it comes out the back, don't worry about it. Just reposition it, but try not to destroy your picture when you do it. See, I'm going at a downward angle. We're going to do both of those that way. And then just for a little more interest and decoration, we're going to add trim to these. Protect those fingers, y'all, because we're going to be working really close to the edge with some really small, thin pieces. And you will burn yourself really quickly with this. So I'm trying to push this to the outer edge, and I did leave that white border so I would have a little something for this to cling to. Once I press this down, I'm going to take this cute little trim or ribbon, and I'm going to go all the way to the edge and then flip it over on itself like that, and using the wrong finger. Y'all see that, don't you? I do it all the time. I do it all the time. We're going to continue around, fold it, just fold it over on itself and press it down into the glue. And this is going to give it a little trim for the top. We'll add a little pom-pom down here on the bottom, excuse my head. And I have just enough for 3 in that section to go across, and I'll cut it off. I love the look of this. It reminds me of those the little toys where you would twist them back and forth and it sounded like a drum. I love those. I might even make one of those for Halloween, y'all. I might do that. I'll take some of this trim, very gently push this down into there. I'm trying to pull it as far to the outside so it doesn't obscure our picture. And then I'm going to go around the sides with the trim here, all the way around until we have this cute little tinsel all the way around it. If there's any bare spots, just go in there and add another little piece. Not a big deal. Think of all the things you could use to trim out your pictures. So many options. So then I'll take those picks and place those down into the cone as well. I want to make sure that everything can be seen. So I'm looking at it from a bunch of different angles. And then I'm going to go right through the hat and into it right here with this picture. Love that. Love it. Okay, I am going to make a bow because you know that's what I do, right? So I'm going to take some of this tulle, and this came from Dollar Tree. I'm going to fold it over several times. And then the folds are going to be about 6 inches, it looks like. You don't have to be precise because this is just a little bow that we're going to make. I'm going to fold it over, I think, about 6 times. The more you put, the thicker the bow will be, and the more opaque it will be. If you use less folds, you'll be able to see through your fabric a bit more. But I like that it is, you can really see the spider webs on it. I like that. I'm going to scrunch this up with the folded edges to the outside. It is going to make a little bow like this. I'll take a little piece of ribbon that I have, and this is just some vintage sort of like velvet. Look at all that fallout, y'all. Ugh. Mr. Skeleton says he loves you. And thank you for watching our videos. We got so many good ideas this year. All right, I'm going to slice through the outside of the bow to make all these little pieces stand out independently. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now, if you're worried about flat ends, you can always pull these out and fluff them out more, and you can take your scissors and cut into the outsides of them and kind of make them look a little more rough, if that makes sense to you. So now I'm just going to take that tool, I'm going to put it at an angle and add it right here on the, like the front side of this beautiful little cone. Press it right there. And I always like to take the opportunity to look at every bit of it closely to see if there are any more details that I want to add. And of course, I'm going to cut off some of these pom-poms and just put those right there on the corners of the ribbon trimmed picture. I absolutely love these pictures. They are vintage. I cannot say enough, and I'm going to be doing so many projects. You'll probably get sick of seeing them. Okay, so of course, we're going to make a little something extra. We're going to have a little bow tassel or something like that to go off the bottom. I am going to cut this tulle into ribbons. How about that? I love it. I love the glitter on it. I'm going to add just a stack of ribbons here that I like. I'm going to add some of that tinsel to it as well. Y'all, please don't ever stop trying, and I always encourage you to make it your own. Okay, so I'm going to take those ribbons and I'm going to cut that little stack in half. You can always start off by cutting into smaller pieces if you want to, but this is about 6 or 7 inches. I'll grab those in the middle, and then I'll take some more of that ribbon and I'm going to tie that off. Feel free to use jute if you want to. I'm just trying to stick to more of what you would see in vintage Halloween, and it would have been the ribbon, I think. Okay, that beautiful velvet ribbon. Okay, so now I'm pulling this down, holding it tightly. Then I'm going to take another piece of ribbon and I'm going to tie this around about 1 inch from the top. We're going to make this into a tassel. So not a bow this time, but a tassel. I'm going to press it down in there, make sure everything's laying nice and flat, and then I'll tie it. I'll tie a double knot, and then I'll just wrap it back and forth around till I have just a tiny bit of ribbon left. That's going to lock it all in there and really give it that look of a tassel. Now I want to trim my ends so it's all even, and I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch off the bottom because I know how big I want the tassel to be. Sometimes when you're making a tassel, you can't really gauge it until you get it in your hand. And I'm going to tie it here on the end. So the top of the cone is flat, right? And you have a little bit of excess of fabric that won't have any cone on it. It won't have any of that foam to support it. And that's where I wanted to put my tassel. And it ties on nicely there, and it looks like it was intended to be this way. Simple, simple. I'm just going to tie that on. You can tie it into a bow. You can tie it into double knots, trim it off. You can just leave that ribbon on there if you want to. Isn't that cute? Oh, I hope y'all love this as much as I do. I am absolutely adoring this cone. Yes, and you can do it. You can definitely do it. The icing on the cake is going to be one more pick right in the bottom. A little bat. Perfect. And there it is in its beautiful vintage glory. Y'all come and cruise with us. It's going to be February the 24th or the 29th, 2024. I'm going to have the information in the description box below. Next, we're making a treat box. We are going to start off with a little round box from Dollar Tree. We're going to need the top and the bottom for this project. We're going to take a variety of ribbons, whatever type you like. Got some Dollar Tree, got some thrifted, and we're going to take a variety of trims. Look at this yellow trim. We're going to take some white paint and a brush, and any panel of fabric that you like, and a vintage toy to go on top. Look at this little squeaker toy. I probably had this when I was a kid. And I'm also going to use some of my double stick tape. So we're going to start by painting this box white. We're going to paint it white because we want the white fabric that we're going to be putting on top of it to really pop against the white paint. And it will look a little bit darker, a little more dingy if we put it against the brown box. So just go over the top, the bottom, and let it dry. Next, we're going to lay our box down. We're going to cut out a strip of fabric that is enough to go over the sides all the way around and enough to tuck into the top. So you'll put some glue on it. You're going to line your bottom up with the bottom edge of your fabric, and then you'll just go ahead and firmly roll this over until you get back to the starting point. Add some hot glue, and then glue that in place. No need to add glue anywhere else on there. That's going to hold it fine. I'm going to trim up my bottom because, you know, when you cut, you don't always cut a straight line. This fabric came from dirt cheap in a package of Amazon return stuff. So it's a package and it's got a whole bunch of different fabrics in it. You use whatever you can find, and I know Dollar Tree is probably going to have some fantastic pieces. I just thought this looked a little kind of like, you know, youthful and a little bit like vintage to me, or like what in my head what it would look like. Very fun, very simple and fun. So I'm going to go to the top of the box, and I just used the bottom of the box to hold the lid while I put the glue on here and put this in place. Once I get that pom-pom rim all the way around, it's going to look like this. Very cute. And then we're going to start layering just like we did the other one. But I'm going to be layering this beautiful purple ribbon right over the top. This glitter ribbon came from Dollar Tree. Love it. Then on top of that, we're going to add some trim, whatever type of trim you have. You could even take something off an old dress if you wanted to. This came from a friend who donated a bunch of craft supplies to me. Okay, so and then we're going to go to the bottom. We're going to let everything dry on the top while we work on the bottom. So this is the bottom edge, and we're going to trim this out with some more of that glittery ribbon. It's going to match and make everything look, you know, nice and look good together. Then I'll take some of this ribbon, and I'm going to go around it right in the middle. And then we're going to start on the top of the box. Now, this time we're only using glue. We can't use those floral pins. So this time you're going to want to use cool temp glue or some other type of glue, whatever you have, and start gluing this down. The difference is with cool temp glue, you can get, it dries fast. You'll have to add a little more time for your projects if you use any other type of a glue in a bottle maybe. So unless you use super glue, of course. All right, so I'm going to go around almost like a cinnamon roll. We're going to go round and round and round, getting smaller and smaller until we are on the inside. I'm going to leave an open spot on the inside for that double stick tape so that we can stick down that little dog. I'll then grab my nano tape, cut off a piece about the size of that little square down there that we have left, put that down slightly to the back, and the back is going to be where the seams meet, so keep that in mind. Keep all your seams in one area. And then he will stick down. Look at that. No damage so that he can be used in other projects if I wanted to. The easiest way to get the box together at this point is to push your pom-poms down and do it upside down. If you try to do it the other way, the pom-poms are going to try to go into the box and you won't be able to get the lid on. But it will fit. I got some pumpkins from Dollar Tree last year, and they are purple and glittery. So to bring that purple in that's in the fabric, and in some of our ribbon, I'm going to take some of those pick tops and just glue those down together, make a little stack there, and we're going to put it right to the side of the little dog. Hold it in place, and don't hesitate to let it sort of hang off the edge and spill over. You can certainly do that. I've seen that in a lot of projects. Just, you know, fill it up. Just fill it up to the top. I'll use a Dollar Tree witch hat to go on the side of the little dog. Look how cute so far, y'all. You could stop at that point if you wanted, but we're going to keep on because you know I'm going to keep on. You know this about me by now, right? I'm going to keep on. We're going to cut down some pieces of ribbon, and we're going to make a little embellishment for his hat. So take whatever colors you like, and I'm just going with the colors that coordinate with everything else going on in this project. And a piece of ribbon I'm going to tie around the middle. The ribbon pieces right now are at about 5 inches. I'm going to cut them down. I'm going to cut about an inch off of each side, so we have about 3 inches across. Fluff it out as much as you can, and then I'm going to glue it right on top of that hat. Look at her fancy hat. She's going to a Halloween party in that hat. Okay, so we got some little goodies that we can add here and there. I'm going to add this little bat, and it's actually a wooden sticker from Dollar Tree, but I'm going to use it for something else, just to make a little piece of decor. And we're going to give this cute little dog a collar. So I'll take that same trim. It is stretchy. I'm trying not to stretch it out though. And I'm going to tuck it here and there so that it looks as though it is going around her neck. I will glue it onto itself and onto the back of the box very simply, and then trim off any excess. The glue's not going to stick to that dog, so be sure you put it on the box. Ooh, look how precious. Alright, so now I'm going to add a little orange spider right over here. I'll grab up some tulle and make a little puff for the top of her hat. We could do a pom-pom if you wanted to do a pom-pom up there, or you could leave it just like it is. But I've found with these vintage crafts, it's almost overdone to the point where some people, you know, they do call it tacky. I just say it's busy because I like it. Tacky seems to have a very bad connotation, and I think that it's in the eye of the beholder, right? So I think that in this situation, tacky is called for. So I'm going to split the top of that little pom-pom thingy, and we're going to stick it right down on top of her hat. A little bit of hot glue. I'm going to do the same thing with this piece, only this is going to be a little backing, a little extra little puff on the side. This would have been really cute if I would have had orange or purple, but I didn't. I had black, so we're gonna go with it. There's plenty of black in this project to make it make sense. How cute is that? Can you imagine the things you could put down in that cute little box? What would you put in a little treat box like this? Candy? The first project today will be our spooky romantic wall decor. Alright, I am going to use some of my 2X Ultra Matte paint in black, any type of a metal finish paint, and a chip brush. This beautiful paper from Dollar Tree, gorgeous wrapping paper. I'm going to use something thick as a backing. I just have a piece of very, very thick black paper. And then this frame that we used last year to make a Halloween DIY. We're going to use it again. Alright, so I laid this down. What you see on the inside is the inner circle is the size of the inside of that frame. I wanted to give it at least an inch above that so that I could put this over the back and give it sort of a shadowy look underneath. So you can see my struggle here. These are very sharp scissors, but this is how thick this paper is. Maybe a very thick cardstock. So just continue around. And this is the oval that I have when I'm done. It doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to be on the back. I'm going to lay it down on top of my paper. And you know, Dollar Tree paper is very thin, so just be careful. My usual technique of dragging the scissors will not work on this. And then I am going to place this paper over, just making sure that I have my pattern somewhat in the middle. If that doesn't matter to you, then you can just totally not even worry about that part. Okay, so now is the time of year to get your glue sticks on sale. Go to Walmart. They probably even have some on clearance because most of the kids have started back to school, here in the South anyway. I like the purple because it shows me exactly where I'm putting down my glue, and that is important because I want to be sure that I can see where I've been and make sure every area is going to be covered. I want a good grip from the glue onto this very thin paper. Nothing should be coming apart. Do it all the way to the edges. Okay, so then I am going to flip this over on top of the paper. This is why you want a little extra on your edge so you can get it exactly where you want it. Because like I said, fragile paper, you don't want to do anything that's going to stress or tear it. Okay, so I've pressed it down, and now I'm going to take my little squeegee, and this is a Mod Podge squeegee, and it's kind of a flexible, rubbery type material. It works really great for this on fragile pieces of paper because it won't tear anything. Well, so far. It hasn't torn anything. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that I burnish it down all the way to the edges, making sure that if there are any little lumps of glue that I've worked those all out to the outside. That way we don't have wrinkles and bubbles. I will trim off a large amount of this to make it a little more manageable. And I like the edge when I use a sanding block. So this is how I'm going to get that nice clean edge. Just using a sanding block. Y'all have seen this done before, and I do it all the time. But if you want to just use your scissors and fussy cut all the way around, you can do that too. Because really, once you get this backing on, you're not going to see your edges. This is just a personal preference for me. I am just going to continue around, make it nice and smooth all the way around. And it kind of gives it, you know, it adds to the aged look of it when you kind of fray it off like that. Okay, so here is this painted in the beautiful matte black. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We're going to make it even more gorgeous. There's so much detail in here that you can't see, right? Well, we're going to fix that up. So there are some screws in the back of this, assuming that this was probably maybe a picture frame or a mirror at one point. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that this frame itself is like a resin, very flimsy, very lightweight, which makes it convenient when you go to the thrift store and you're buying by the pound. This didn't weigh very much at all. Okay, I took the screws out because I need something to rest my backing on, and I can make a wider surface to put glue down if I use these little building blocks. So they happen to be the perfect width to go down in that little channel and rest over the areas where the screws were. So we'll have a nice flat surface so that we can apply glue. Now, just in case, go ahead and paint those black. If your frame is black, if it's white, then paint it white. That way, when you look at it from all directions, you don't see the wood block under there. You don't want to see the mechanics of it, right? So you're going to add glue to each of those sections and then pop your frame back on. And this is how it's going to look so far. I want to be sure I give good before pictures so that you can really tell the difference when we spruce it up. So I'm going to use this rich espresso on the frame, and I'm going to use this tarnished silver, it's like an alcohol spray. I think you use it mainly for crafting, like paper crafts, but it gives such a nice patina and aged look that I like to use it on my older projects. I also, or the things that I want to appear antique, I also use this when I'm doing bones, to make the bones look, you know, aged in a proper way. Okay, so when I get it on there, I'm just going to dry it with my little tool here. Get it all dry. I don't want anything smearing. So here's that rich espresso I was talking about. I have bronze colored paints, but I don't have anything that looks it doesn't look like the depth that I want in a bronze. And I think that this over the black is going to be like the perfect solution for that. And you can just tell me what you think. I think it definitely looks bronze, like an aged bronze. If you use that chippy brush and you just start going side to side, and sweeps all the way across. I'm not trying to get down in the cracks in this situation. The black is going to be down in all the spaces, and this more of a metallic color is going to sit on the high points. So it makes it look like it is sort of a tarnished look. Look how beautiful that metallic paint just brings out all the detail in the beading, the little filigree on the side. The shape of it is just highlighted, in my opinion, with this. It's so pretty. I had originally pulled out like a tarnished silver paint to do this, but since I'm changing my room into something that is more of a dark and moody theme, I thought I could use this in my room. So I wanted to make sure that it fit into kind of the aesthetic that I'm going for, which, by the way, is not very textbook dark and moody. It's definitely not dark academia because I don't have books everywhere, but you know, I'll be sharing some of that stuff with you guys as I go along. Now, see, now the paper is too stark white, and we want this to look a little more luxurious, more like a damask. So I am going to just kind of brush this all over, and I've barely got any paint in the brush, just barely. Put it in the centers of the little floral pieces along all of the details. I want to go around the outside where there's like a lip that's like almost an inch between the front of the frame and the backing that I'm working on right now. And it gives it a shadow around the edge, which to me is so beautiful. I love it. It looks old and vintage. Just, I love it. So now I've just got a bath sponge that I've torn into pieces. I like to use it when I'm doing different techniques with paints. And I really like this. You just, when you dip in, be sure you offload some and then just kind of twist that in your hand back and forth to change the pattern if it's something that is very obvious. Like if I was putting a very dark color, there's no way I would want to pounce it in the same pattern, because then you would see that there was a pattern, and that's not how aging works, right? So now I'm going to go back over it. And if you get too much of a color on there for your what you wanted, maybe you make a boo-boo and it's not exactly what you're looking for, go back over it with some gray. Easy. All right, now we got some skeleton arms from Dollar Tree. I'm playing around to see, because I know I want these hands to be together in some way, and they will clasp. You can put them together like this. It's pretty nice there. I know that I want to do this on that frame somehow, so I'm just thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to take this satin paint here. This is heirloom white. I absolutely love this color. And I'm going to spray paint those bones. They're going to dry thoroughly. That's only one coat the front, one coat the back. Then I'm going to take this spray and I'm going to start spritzing this on here. This is going to give, again, that aged look that I like, and it's going to give it a more of a realistic look. Now, I could speed right through all of this because some people don't want to be bothered watching the process. They just want to see how it ends. But for those of you who watch my channel who do these things on your own, because maybe you can't find the type of decor that you really enjoy, so you want to do your own, then you need to see exactly how to do it, right? And I don't want to rush you through it and feel like you're overwhelmed and you can't do it, because you absolutely can do this, okay? So there'll be very little increase in speed here. I want you to be able to see what we're doing. So I'm going to spray that on. I'm going to pat it off. Do not rub, because it will make the entire bone gray, and that's not the idea. You want to let it dry in between layers. Yes, this process does take a little time, but you can put it in front of a fan, or if you don't have a lot of humidity, put it in a direct sun outside and help these things to dry. So once I have enough of the spotting on there to my taste, I'm going to start building my layers of antiquing wax. The areas that would normally catch grunginess and dust and dirt are going to be where all those small bones are. So I'm going to go in there and just darken those areas. I know that I want those low spots to hold some color. So I'm just going to tap this on. If you prefer using a chalk paint for your projects, you can do that too, but beware that when you start fooling around with putting any moisture on chalk paint, it will start to flake off or lift. So just, keep that in mind. That's why I prefer spray paint for this. Okay, so now it's just, again, I'm going in all the spaces, all of the little dark spaces. I'm making them even darker, and I'm just going to build up slowly. You can see already how it's beginning to look a little more aged. I'll do some wiping with my sponge on top of here. And if you don't have the antiquing wax, remember there is a recipe. I wouldn't even say it's a recipe. I just tell you how you can use coffee to stain things while you're crafting coffee or tea. So, I mean, you can definitely do it that way if you prefer. But I've had this bottle of antiquing wax forever, and I'm still using it all the time, and there's a lot left in there. So you let these layers dry in between, otherwise you're just smearing around the same paint, and that's just kind of a waste of your time and your product. So just continue along. I'm going back over where the joints are and where those little bones are, and in between the fingers, because I want to show some shadow. I don't want everything to be comical in this. This is not like a funny Halloween. This is more of a living a spooky life situation here. Or if you do prefer the dark and moody, something like this would be perfect. In fact, all the little projects that I do in this video today are going to be appropriate all year long, but you can definitely use these at Halloween if you like. So now I've gotten my sponge and I'm going to start just stippling that on. I'm just pretty much just popping it on here and there, twisting the brush, or the sponge rather, with that antiquing wax, and then pouncing it up and down. I don't want to rub off anything that I've already put on there. I'm going around the edges of the bone, and I'm also going to go making sure I go in between the fingers. Now the back side of the hand and bone you don't necessarily have to do because you won't see that, but definitely the sides. This is not a difficult process, right? It may take a little bit longer to achieve, but you can always work on different projects in between while your items are drying. That's what I always try to do. And then when I get ready to edit, I just splice everything together in a way that would make sense to somebody who's watching it. So if you do want to show this entire bone, or you're not exactly sure how you're going to lay it down, go ahead and extend that over just a little bit. Too much glue, too much wax on the fingers will make it where you can't glue it down to your surface, and I'm going to need to secure it in some way, but you can use mounting tape for that. So, there's a way to get around everything. But look at the bones now compared to how they were when we first started. This is definitely a big difference. Now, once they're completely dry, I'm going to take them over to my frame. Now, if these bones were more narrow, I could tuck them right inside the frame in that little gap that I was talking about. I could do them like this and put them together, or I can cross them over one another, and that's what I decided to do. And I'm using mounting tape. So I'm going to use a little bit of that mounting tape right behind where the bone begins to get narrow. And I'm going to press it down onto that beaded area. And then I'll go to the other side, and what makes it convenient is the shape of the frame has little pieces on it that are symmetrical on both sides, so I can count down those and know exactly where to put the other bone so that they're even. This mounting tape is really nice. You can definitely get it something similar to it. Alien tape, I believe somebody told me is what it's called, and you can get it at Walmart. So I'm just going to go in with my glue and put it together. I don't want the glue to necessarily be showing, so if you do get any glue on the outside, try to get it out there really quickly so you don't tear your paper. And I'm just going to flood a little bit of glue between the joints of the fingers so that it catches the other hand and it can dry. But you can certainly use your mounting tape here if you want to as well. Now I want to put a very beautiful romantic arrangement on the inside. So I have, when I was thrifting recently, I found two beautiful roses, this big purple rose, and then there is a rose bud as well. I am going to just poke these right into the framework of those clasp hands. I'm not going to be too concerned about, putting foam or anything in there. We're just going to glue it in. I don't want this to be a big, busy arrangement. I want this to be something that is pretty simple, but still elegant, beautiful. These dahlias are from Dollar Tree. Gonna cut these off, and then all I'm doing right now, I'm not using glue. I'm just pushing these around on the frame to see how I want to arrange it. I've got some of those black leaves out of there. I'm going to use those too. Later on, I do add some purple leaves. You'll see that in the end screen. And you'll use the same process with gluing it down, So this is why we don't glue them first. I'm going to move things around a little bit and decide how I like them, and then I can add my glue. I think it looks much better like that. So maybe the lady of the house is a bride. Maybe she's in love. Maybe she loves gardening. Who knows? But she's represented right here. And that beautiful, beautiful Dollar Tree paper is what inspired this entire look. Yes, just a roll of paper. But I knew it had to be prettied up and used in a project for you all who love your everyday spooky decor. Now again, I'm going between those fingers and I'm just kind of flooding a little bit of glue on all the flower stems that are down in there. And then I just individually glue down the black ones there, the black leaves. I've got some gorgeous, this is like a velour or velvet ribbon that came from Hobby Lobby, and I got it for 50% off, I think. It's beautiful ribbon, and I knew that I wanted to use this. It's in the Christmas section, but I knew I had to have it for spooky decor. So I'm just going to do a very simple bow, and I'm going to cut this off. If you don't want a bow for your little bouquet, you do not have to have a bow. But I really wanted to add this fabric. It just gives another little bit of texture and interest to the project, and it's all about, you know, making it your own. And so I did add in this little ribbon. You could also put something in the middle of the ribbon. If you wanted to put a spider or a rhinestone of some sort in the middle, that would be pretty too. I think, yeah, I think I am very happy with this, and I think it is the look that I was hoping for. Everything looks good together. You could always brush a little bronze over your leaves if you want to, but I don't have to have everything matchy-matchy. You can come watch my videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. It is free to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of the family and talk to you in the comments. The next project is going to be a bronze pedestal candle. So here's the other candle, the shorter one of the two. This is a jar lid, which I painted with black chalk paint. Here is a candle sleeve or a hurricane, and then a thrifted glass candle holder. I also have a little bit of that paper from Dollar Tree. I'm going to first use some Goo Gone or alcohol or acetone, whatever you want to use, to get off the writing on the bottom, and then you're going to wash it with soap and water and thoroughly dry it. The back of this paper has lines on it and a grid on it, which makes it perfect for you to do these types of crafts. They're really going to help you out with that paper. So I'm just going to kind of measure by laying it down. I'll cut off an even amount to wrap all the way around the back of the candle. And then right along the edge of the paper, there is like a print line. I'm going to cut that off too. I did consider that when I was measuring the length to put it on the candle. So I'll just trim that all off. And then here's our piece of paper. Get your design the way you like it. I'm going to take my little hurricane here, roll it. If I have a little overlap, that's great. That's what I'm going for. You don't want a lot, so trim it down where it just goes over, maybe an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch over. I'll use my double stick tape that I happen to get from Dollar Tree. Press it down on the glass. This way we're not waiting on Mod Podge to dry. We're not worrying about wrinkles. This is the perfect way to do this, and then if you want to change it later, you can change it out easily. I'm carefully pressing that down into half of where the tape is, leaving the other half of the tape exposed to stick this page on. Now I had it a little bit crooked, so I had to adjust just a little, and that's okay. I had a little tear on the back side, but it didn't tear through, thank goodness. And I'm just going to press that down and trim off. If you have a little extra tape, you know, hanging over, you can trim it off. Then you can grab the sanding block and get it right close to the edge, just like you would any other project. Just like it was if it was a piece of wood. Just be sure you hold on to it good so you don't drop and break it. I'm going to do this all over the top, and then I'm going to go along and do this on the bottom as well. I don't want anything hanging over because I want this to be rich and elegant looking. Look how pretty. Oh, this paper is beautiful. So here's our clean candle. I'm going to use this as the top, and this, like I said, is just a jar lid. We want this to appear to be one piece, so we're going to stick it together. All of my E6000 glue was clumped up and dried. If you have tips on how to keep that stuff from doing that, please tell me, because I have so many tubes I had to throw away because I can't use them anymore. So I grabbed this super glue from Dollar Tree, questioning questioning whether or not it was actually going to hold these two together, but I gave it some time. This is a little multi-pack you can get at Dollar Tree, and would you look at that? It won't even wobble. Perfect. So I'm going to grab that chalk paint. This is just a rich black, and I'm going to tap it off, and I'll use this little pouncer to go all the way around my edge. I'm just rubbing this on. If you have makeup, the little makeup sponges, you could use those also. Use the flat edge. I'm just going around the edge of the white, the edge of the glass, so that it looks like one piece. And then you can pick your little hurricane shade up, and you can extend it a little bit down the sides just to continue that aged look that we're going for. Okay, so I got the top. Now I'm going to kind of smear it on the side a little bit, make it look old. It makes that print stand out with that rich black next to it. And we're going to do the bottom too. See how that just really finishes it off? I love that. I love that edged look like that. So we're going to let it dry just like that. And then the process that we used on the inside of the frame, we're going to use the same process here and make this beautiful and rich looking as if it has been in an old home on the walls forever. My niece does Sims games, and she did a build that recently had some black wallpaper in it that was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't want my room to be that dark. I want it to be a little more foresty looking, you know. But yeah, I sure appreciate the look of it. That's stunning. All right, once you get the look you want, I'm just going to go ahead and spray this on now after I've done the paint. You can do it either way. You're not going to hurt yourself either way. And I'm just spraying it on top of a towel that's just a rag I use here in my studio. If you have any runny spots, just tap them off. If it runs on your page, that's totally fine. It's part of the aging process, right? So look how nice this looks together. It looks as though it was made as one piece. And I love that it now looks this black color, which really brought it together. And now we're going to add that espresso. Again, I'm starting off slow, so I'm going to start on the bottom in that rim right there on the edge and just flick that back and forth. I'm not looking for a solid painted line. It's just, again, brush strokes. And I guess there is sort of a pattern to it, but I'm not trying to get like an even amount. We want it to look like it aged this way. I'm going to go back and forth on the rounded parts just to keep that rounded look. It just makes sense that it would wear in that way when it is wiped and cleaned. Then I'm going to go around all the beautiful curves. Y'all, I ordered lamps, new lamps for my room, and they have the amber, like a teardrop in the inside of the the standing part of the lamp that makes a night light. So you can turn the light on and off, and you can also use the amber night light. Oh, that's going to be perfect for fall when I am watching movies in here in my room by my potbelly stove. Can't wait. Okay, so I've built it up about this much, and what I do is turn it back and forth, and I add more on in the spaces where I feel like it needs more, and it shows me if I've left anything off. Go ahead and address that and cover that. So that's what I'm doing here until I get the coverage that I like, and then of course you are going to let it dry after you do that. I don't need necessarily with the process that I'm using to color the top of it. It just didn't feel right to me not to do it. So I went ahead and worked on that top too. And I'm trying to kind of keep it circular. Now, if the sleeve that you have doesn't fit perfectly over the top, mine fits like perfect. There's no extra lip, nothing. I am going to secure that down with some hot glue, and I do it in 4 different places. I let that dry thoroughly. I mean, you really, really need to let the glue dry. If you use the candle top that is bigger, a little bit bigger than your sleeve, you'll be better off, I think. But look at it with the candle on the inside, and we didn't have to do anything special to the actual candle insert because we have this beautiful frame. The first will be a pumpkin sign. I have got 2 of these repair markers, furniture repair markers in walnut. This beautiful vintage looking, rustic looking sign from Dollar Tree. This is a piece that I thrifted a good while back and have used it in other projects. It's got some pencil marks on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and freshen it up with a little bit of this black chalk paint. It's going to make that color a little bit deeper and make it look shiny and new. Of course, we want to start by taking our tags off. We're going to disassemble it. We're going to take the ribbon pieces off, pull those out. They're just attached by staples. And you can save all of those pieces. I'm going to remove all of my staples with just a little pliers here. Okay, so if you've seen me use signs before from Dollar Tree, you know this is what I like to do. I'm going to go over it with any dark color. Could use black here too, but I like the walnut for this, keeping it rustic. And I'm going to go over this with this to give it a finished look. It's going to look better than it would if it was left just that cardboard kind of color. It's just going to give it a little more depth around the edges. I'm going to take that same marker and go over where they already have a little bit of shading. I'm just going to darken it up a little bit. And any other place that I think I would like to have some shading, I'm going to do that as well. I'm also going to go around the eyes and the stem. I just want to remind y'all while I'm doing this that you matter to me, your opinions matter to me, and the recent community post that I put out about my beliefs and the way I do things, I just want to say thank you. I have had a tremendous outpouring of support and understanding, and I really do appreciate that. You know, to each his own. And I just want to add here also that I am not upset by what was left for me in that email. That did not upset me. When she talked to me and questioned me, it really was sincere. There was no ugliness in it. It's just the fact that it had to be questioned, you know. So anyway, that is done, and I'm just saying thank you for that. Okay, now I'm gonna grab that, the bottom of the sign was the next little section, and I'll go over it and do some shading on this one as well. I went all the way around the edges, and now I'm gonna go over, you see where the little striped areas are? That's like where the shading is, and I'm just gonna kind of go over and areas here and there to make it look, you know, a little more blended. This is a very easy sign for our first project, and I know this is something that you all can do. If you don't have a board like this to use, you can just do a rectangle board. You can put 2 of those long, narrow signs together and use popsicle sticks and glue on the back and put your sign on there if you would like. I'm going to add just one of those little pieces from the very bottom. And I did save my ribbons because, you know, you can use those again too. And be careful when you take your staples out, you know, all that good stuff. I care about y'all, so I don't want anybody getting hurt from anything that they see on this channel. So I'm just going to use hot glue to attach all this down, and it should hold perfectly. This is not something, nor are any of these other projects, something that I would put outside. These are just inside decor pieces, but you know, if you're going to use things like this outside, you got to be sure that you treat it right, that you use the right types of adhesives, and that you seal everything. Because these pieces, these signs from Dollar Tree are not wooden. They are like an MDF or a thick cardboard type stuff. And they're often bowed when you get them kind of twisted and not flat. So I'm just using my little insulators down there to hold it in place while it dries, so it will dry flat against the board. And look how easy that is. I can just hang it by the little embellishments that are already there in the wood on the sides, or I can use it to just lean against something. And that makes this project very easy and beginner friendly for our very first one. The first project is a framed raven art. I'm going to be using some black chalk paint, rich espresso, and some metallic. You can also use bronze if that's what you like, or silver. I'm going to use some mounting tape and this beautiful piece of canvas artwork that I got from Temu. I have a frame that I already had, and I'm going to give it a makeover. It's got a little canvas in here, or it's kind of like a fabric, you know. Okay, so we always start by cleaning everything down. We want to have a nice clean background for any paint that we add. That way we don't have any bumps and lumps, and you know, we just want a nice finish. For pieces of fabric on a frame, I like to use any type of a brush to clean that as well. I'm going to take this wonderful chalk paint, and I am going to just put it all over the entire front of this frame and down on the sides. When it dries, it will look like this, and what you can see still in the dark areas, that's where it's still a little bit wet, but I'm going to let it dry. It is in the process of drying now. All right, once it is thoroughly dry, and you can see how matte it is, so you can see that it is thoroughly dry, I'm going to add some of this beautiful paint and just kind of add it to the brush. I'm going to use a chippy brush, and then I'm going to tap a lot of it off. It's going to push that beautiful metallic color up into the bristles, and it's going to make it a little bit lighter when you apply it. And the idea is to make this look like a kind of a bronzed piece, like an aged bronze piece. Now I also have bronze paint, but this one I just liked better. I just liked it better, and it does look still like a bronzy color to me, so that's what I'm doing. So I like to use my strokes back and forth and then go in and also do it from side to side so that it hits all those high points and it gets on those side pieces as well. There's so much detail in this frame. It looked really nice as it was, but I'm choosing warmer tones rather than the cooler tones of the silver and the cream that were on there. The inner lip of this frame is also elevated, so there's just a lot of stuff going on in this frame. I'm going to add and just gradually build up the amount of paint that I put on this section. And the section that is black, that was fabric in there that we covered up, which is still fabric, but it's going to stay black. I want to leave that rich black background for that area. So I just slowly just build it up a little bit at a time till I get it where I like it. And don't worry, if you get a spot that gets a little too much paint, just gonna add a little bit of black on top of it and you'll be fine. So I can't glue directly to this board because whatever this is sheds really bad. So I am just going to hot glue a piece of paper on top of it. And this is part of a video. It's an open playlist called Halloween Palooza with Crafting with Indiana Jones. I'm going to have a playlist link for you, and I want you to go check out all the rest of the creators because there's a bunch of us, and we'll be doing recipes, and we'll be doing gameplay and designing and landscaping and all kinds of cool things. So be sure you check out the playlist when you're done with my video and go and check it out. Support everybody, you know? Support everybody. There's room for everybody in this field that we're in. All right, so I'm going to add some of that mounting tape. My double stick tape was not strong enough to hold this flat, so the mounting tape does a very good job for this. I want to put it as close as I can up to the edge, and I did cut it long ways in half so that it wouldn't show when I press this down. I don't want it to wrinkle or, you know, I want it to look like it cost a lot of money, not like I paid $3, you know, for it. All right, so I'm just going to press that down. That mounting tape is like a double stick, so it works really well. I'm going to make sure I don't have any wrinkles, and just if I need to change it, I can change it. And this way, I'm putting it right down on that piece of poster paper, and it'll stay. Now, this already has an aged look, which is wonderful, but I want to make it a little darker. So I'm going to grab some of my Waverly wax, and I'm going to get a baby wipe, and I'll rub that in really well. And then I am going to use that to just darken it up a little bit more. I really want this to be moody and dark and slightly gothic. You know, you can kind of use your imagination. Some people are even calling it like a dark cottagecore, which is really cool, I think. I've been adding some darker colors and heavier items to my bedroom, and oh my gosh, I am loving it. It's so cozy. I'm just absolutely loving it. And then I've had quite a few times where I found some nice older books that are just beautiful, and I'm adding those to my room too, so maybe a little academia too. Who knows? Now be sure that you let that dry. You want that to be completely dry, because if you don't, it's a wax, and every time you touch it, you'll be lifting that off, and you'll have little spots on there. All right, now I'm going to place it back down where it was. And you can see it's a little bit long, but I just let it hang over on the edge, no problem. This was nailed in, and I did not want to nail it in because I like to repurpose things. So I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue and these paint stir sticks to kind of hold this in place. It is elevated above that inner lip, so there's no way to really get it flat across. So this was a really good way for me to support that canvas. I'm going to add some hardware on the back so that it can be hung up properly, not to fall off and break anything. And I'm just showing you what I do. 4 inches from the edge, and then I put it like halfway. You can see it's like halfway from the end. A little bit of hot glue just to hold it in place while I nail it. I'm going to go to the other side and I'll do the same thing. Now, the nails that come with this little kit, this came from Dollar Tree, they're very small. So using some type of a plier will help you with that, to help you hold that still while you hammer it. And look at this little beauty. I love this. This did not take a lot of work. This did not take a lot of time. And this is definitely something that you can do. The next piece is going to be a Gothic candelabra. So I found this recently at Goodwill bin store. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do with this. How perfect is this going to be underneath that beautiful framed piece of art with the raven on it? Yes. So I'm calling this Gothic. You can call this whatever you want. This was made in the USA and it is old. Okay, so we're going to use possibly some candles from Dollar Tree. I am going to take some matte black paint, and I am going to clean this, and then I am going to spray paint it, and then we're going to dry brush some more of that espresso on it. And by the way, thank you to one of my viewers who told me that it's pronounced espresso. My whole life, as country as I am, we have said espresso. That is incorrect. So if it bothered anyone, I'm so sorry. You know, it is what it is. So now I know. You know better, you do better. So anyway, now I'm going to start just wherever I want to at the top, so I don't have to worry about trying to hold it and touch the paint that I've already put down. So I'm going to add this on here. I'll be a little more generous on this piece than I was on the frame, because I just really wanted to highlight it, you know, on the frame. And for this, I really want to make this look you know, a little more richer and a little more, I don't know, a little more bronze than black. Let's just say what it is. That's what it is. I'm going to brush this in all of those areas, and you can see the difference that it makes if you look to the right side and to the left side of the frame. If it was left black, you would not see any of those beautiful details. To me, this looks like an expensive iron piece, but it's not. It's just a, like the resin that they use. It's just a simple, inexpensive piece. This probably could have come from, what was the name of that? Was it Home Decor, Home Interiors? That's what it was. Possibly a piece like that. If you can find those kinds of things, that would be really nice to redo. And have some beautiful, beautiful pieces too. So look at the difference that this makes. I'm leaving all this in because if you're not someone who's ever done this before, I want you to feel encouraged. I want you to feel brave. And I want you to do something different. You might even have something in your house already that's black. That maybe you had farmhouse like me. I had farmhouse for a long time. And now I want to add some color back into my life. I want to add some richness and coziness that I am not finding anymore from that airiness that comes with farmhouse. I just want to feel like I am just wrapped up in comfort and, like Harry Potter stuff, the feeling. That's what I'm trying to do. But I don't want to spend a lot of money doing it. And I want mine to be my own, right? Because in this channel, we make it my own and we do it on a budget. And you can certainly do this on a budget. Maybe you can find it at a garage sale if you don't have good thrift stores. Or make something that, take something you already have. Offer to clean out grandma's closet or mom's closet or your sister's closet. And maybe you can find something like that. So here are the ones from Dollar Tree and here are the ones from IKEA. These were thrifted. These I like much better. However, they both fit. So either way, you can use either candle. Now I'm going to do a little something extra on these candles because I want them to appear old and used. So we're going to give them a little bit of a little spiffing up. I have taken the plastic off. I have removed with my Goo Gone all of the residue from the stickers. And I am now going to make it look like we've got wax dripping. I did a candle last year using I think it was a Dollar Tree napkin that had a raven on it. Absolutely stunning. I am so pleased with that candle. I have it in my candle stash, and I might even have it might even be on the end of this video. I'll see if I can find it and if I can give you a link for that. If you're interested and you don't see the link up there though, just let me know and I'll grab a link for you so you can see what we did with that candle. Because it was also a plastic candle, a battery operated candle. And it turned out wonderful. It had lots of drips on it. It looked so old. But we're going to do something similar with these. So you can take your heating tool or your blow dryer, whatever you have, blow over the top of it when you're adding your layers, and it will smooth out those layers to look like one melted, waxy situation. Now you can add on, put more drips on there if you want. Keeping in mind, gravity's going to pull it downward, so just, I'm trying to be a little more realistic, not going sideways with it, because in my house, wax doesn't go sideways. That would be a different video. Okay, so once that is done and cooled, then you can lay it down. I'm going to take a little bit of my painter's tape from Dollar Tree and go right around the fire part because I don't want any paint on here. I am not digging the color of these candles, and I need to make the hot glue grips look the same color as the candle. So I'll be taking 3 of these into my garage with a fan and some ventilation, and I will be painting them to make them all look the same and all look a little more realistic. I mean, we know it's a fake candle. We wouldn't be putting tape over the actual flame. So my heirloom white I put on there, and then I took some of my alcohol spray and I sprayed all over the candle. Little flicks. You can flick on some dark paint if you want to, but this is just a tarnished silver color that I sprayed on here. Then I'm going to take my brush and some antique wax. And you can also, I don't know that I would use a baby wipe. It might lift up the alcohol drops, the paint drops. So I just wanted to use my chippy brush and a dry paper towel to rub that in. I'm going around where the wax is. I'm going around the top all the way to the bottom, because the little rubber part on the bottom, which turns the candle on and off, is where it's going to sit down in the cups on the candelabra. And I want to make sure that it is a solid finish all the way down to that point. So when we take it off, isn't that better? Doesn't that look grungy and better, like it's been in an old home? Yes. I'm going to go around, just make sure that you get all around the areas of the candle that have where you have made some wax strips on the top, to really give it a nice look. If you have never been to my channel before and you have never met me before, my name is Brandy, and I'm all about inexpensive, beautiful, unique DIYs. So thank you for watching as part of a playlist, or just if you found the video on my channel or in suggestions or wherever you found it. I would love to have you as part of my YouTube family. We are very active in the comments in all of our videos, and I do respond to everyone. So feel free to leave me a comment and tell me what you think about this. Want this? And unique. The next project is a witch's hat. Oh, I hope y'all like this one. All right, so these are scraps. This is just some purple, again, greenery. I've got some of these blue little flocked balls. I have some, this says fall grass, and purples and violets and indigo colors. That's what we're going with, right? And then also black. These are little scrap pieces that I had. It's got some glitter. And then these are from little Temu posters. And these are my branches from Temu. Love them. Okay, so here's my hat that I got at the thrift store. This is actually a Hobbit hat. And it isn't hollow all the way up to the top. Then this is a round sign from Dollar Tree. And I've got some batting. Or you can cut open an old pillow. Now, see, the top of this hat actually fits onto your head, and then it's supposed to look kind of slouchy, but I don't want to do that. I want mine to look a little more upright, so I've got to cut this lining out so that I can stuff this in a way that it's going to stand up. That's what I like. I still like the little wire in the end. We're still going to have a little curl on the end, but we definitely got to stuff it full so it can, you know, hold its shape. So now I'm just pulling that sheet of batting part, and then I'm going to shred it with my hands, just shredding, 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 pulling all of the shape out of it. I want it to be like a cloud, just fluffy, fluffy, fluffy everywhere. No thick edges. I'll start by just pushing a little bit up into the tip of the hat, or right up to the tip of the hat, to start the shape. It just takes a little bit of patience, y'all, and you need to kind of maneuver it around with your hands on the inside and the outside of the hat, so that you get that conical shape that you need without a bunch of bulging and bumps. You want it to look high end, right? We always strive for that high end look. We don't want anything to look cheap and like we just barely put any effort into it. Okay, so once you get it as fluffy as you like, make sure that it can stand on its own. And that's what I'm doing here. I am going to, since my hat has sort of a regular brim, I decided that maybe stacking it just a little bit would help that shape conform and stick down to this sign. So I'm just using a couple of pieces of foam and my double stick tape or my nano tape. You can see how strong that holds. And I'm going to layer a couple of pieces on there until I get it, where I feel like it will stay. I didn't use the hot glue because it will melt through the plastic and the foam and likely come off. And then be sure you drop your glue gun because that's a very important step. You can't miss that step. Good grief. All right, so then we're going to put the hot glue on that. It doesn't have to be directly center, but it has to be to the point where it can support your hat. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to make it grab down, and then I'll flip it over, and you can see mine's not exactly the center. Are we going to stress about it? We're not. Okay. Now where I can get the tip of the glue gun in, I'm just going to add some more just to be sure that it is secure down on there. And this is actually a round that I had and I used for a different craft. That's why you see the blue and white on there. That's the only reason. That's fabric that is Mod Podged down. Use it for a spring craft. So I do use a lot of my stuff over. Okay, now it's going to stand up on its own. Okay, now we're going to put florals on here. If you saw my candy corn witch's wreath, you already know what I'm doing here. If not, I'll tell you. Little pick here is going to hold these two pieces together. It's just going to give it some strength while I grab a little bit of the masking tape that I have. It is like a white masking tape / painter's tape, something like that. It wasn't labeled when I found it, so I can't be completely sure, but just use some tape. I wouldn't recommend duct tape because if you're getting florals in there, it's very hard to poke a stem through the duct tape. So you want something you can pierce through. What I'm trying to do here is make essentially a wreath form that will fit around the hat, or a hat bat. A hat bat? A foam hat band. Good grief. I'm going batty. Yeah. To go around the place where a hat band would be. Okay? But that didn't make sense because, it didn't make sense to me either. Now you can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right. Yes. Logic is back in the picture. Okay, now we're going to make sure that we cut all of our pieces apart like we always do. Trim everything down. You can start by leaving your limbs or your stems a little bit longer, and then as you're putting your arrangement together, you can trim what needs to be trimmed. I'm going to take these beautiful picks. I'm going to pierce them with the end, and then I will take some of these floral pins and put them into that foam. If you do it in an angle, it will really hold it in place well. In my opinion, it works really well for me to do it that way. And then you're going to overlap the top of the next piece over the end of the other piece, and you're going to go all the way around. So what if you don't have this greenery? Then use a different type of greenery, whatever you want. The idea is to cover up the band and make this hat look nice and lush, like a lot of greenery in my stuff. Okay, so talking about the budget-friendly stuff, this is Dollar Tree and thrifted pieces. If you're buying all of your stuff and you don't want to use as much, you definitely don't have to. Just so what you could do to take the place would be get something that is very full. You could actually use the colored leaves or something here if you wanted to, like the fall leaves if you wanted to, and put those around here. They would really cover that up and take up a lot of space, so you could save a little money by doing it that way if you like. I always try to remind y'all when people are like, well, that's really not budget friendly with as much as you put on there. Well, it all depends on your personal budget, really, and where you get your stuff from. If you get all of your materials very, very cheaply, then that is budget friendly. And if you put a ton of stuff on here at a budget friendly price, you're not going to go in a store and buy the same nice, lush, and full piece if you're on a budget. I promise you, you're not going to. I've seen prices of stuff. I've seen in craft shows what people charge, and I understand it. I get it. They work hard. People work hard on the things that they make, and I get that. I understand it totally. All right, so then I thought we've got to put these beautiful pieces in here, and what better place than just around the band? So I'm just going in at an angle, going in with the same circular shape as we put in the beautiful little flowers, and I guess we could just call that heather. It looks a little bit like heather, but I don't know. You decide. What do you think that is? Those little green pieces, or the purple and green pieces. I think they're very pretty. But I'm going to keep going in at an angle. You don't want to go straight in with these picks anyway, because it'll go all the way through that foam and into the hat and it's kind of hard to push it through your fabric, and then you have stuff that may fall out. You put it in sideways, it kind of locks it into place a little better. And these Temu picks that I'm using, these black ones, this is not a sponsored video, y'all know that. But they have like little serrated edges you can see over there in the right corner. So when you push them through, the wire part pushes through, that actually holds it into the foam, which is very nice. All right, so now that we've got the bottom or the hat band done, we're going to start adding to the top of the hat. I don't want anything to be taller than the top of the hat. You see how I've got that little curl in the top, how I shaped it by hand, because it already had a piece of wire in there, and I thought, oh, we're going to go with this. I love that. It's a nice piece. It's a nice focal point, and we're going to do something special with that. So you know. And by the way, y'all, I just wanted to just say thank y'all for understanding. I had a little hitch in my giddy up this week, so I wasn't able to get Monday's video out, and I'm putting out videos a little bit later this week than I normally do. It has been ages since I've had anything like this to happen, but hopefully you'll forgive me for that, and I'll be back on schedule, and I'll be sure not to let things like this happen anymore. I'm working on it. So I hope I can make up for it by giving you these 3 projects today that I worked really hard on, and they're unique and different. And yeah, I just appreciate y'all, and I appreciate you being here. And I don't like disappointing anybody. When I say I'm going to do something, I'd like to be known for keeping my word. And the fact that I couldn't stay on schedule really bothered me. Yeah, but it is what it is. We're human, right? We do things. We're going to fall, we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to learn from those mistakes. So we are moving on, and yeah, the next video that I do will actually probably be Friday. Maybe tomorrow if I can get it done, but I don't know. It takes quite a bit of work to get a video idea produced, edited, the voiceover uploaded, and all of that. So we'll see, but I am working for y'all. I'm working very hard for y'all. So okie dokie. So you can see what I'm doing here. I like to do it from above, like I mentioned with the other arrangement, and then I'm going to show you from time to time the progress that we're making. I'll lift up the hat and show you what we got going on here. I love that there is a huge variety. It just looks like wildflowers, like it would be in a garden. Like some of these could be herbs, and just, I love it. I love the fact that these cone flowers look mysterious and magical. And then of course we're going to be adding some of these picks too. There's actually 3 of these picks with the purple and the black, so we're going to add those in different places. You can cut these picks apart and really stretch them out if you want to as well. You can wind your flowers through it and give it a little more dimension, and you can see me doing that there. I'm just kind of weaving it in and out of the things that are around it. Again, make this your own. Do what is going to bring you joy. If you don't like this color theme, say maybe you just cannot stand purple, or you think the blue looks ridiculous, you know what? You don't have to even tell me. Just go ahead and use something different. You could use orange and black. You could do candy corn. You could do those colors if you wanted to. You can do it in gold and red. You do what makes you happy, and it's going to be the right thing for you, right? It's all about crafting and getting that joy from it and feeling that sense of accomplishment. You did it yourself. You did it on your own, and you love it exactly how it is. Always want to encourage y'all to do that. That's so important. Again, the greenery has that bluish tone, or the cool tone, which I like with this. I like it a lot. And let's just say, okay, if this looks spring or summery to you, then just look at it this way. Witches are magical, right? If they want to have their springtime greenery in the fall, they can have their springtime greenery in the fall, right? They got green thumbs. They have a little herb garden in their house. They have little English gardens in their yard, or witchy gardens in their yard, and they're growing their own stuff. So, and heck, they have magic. They can grow anything they want whenever they want, right? That's right. I love how this breaks it up a little bit, and I love how it gives it another element of softness, and it just looks magical to me, y'all. It's just magical to me. And I really hope that you like this one as well. I used to really enjoy doing the wreath forms from Dollar Tree, but the three-dimensional stuff is so much more fun for me personally. I still have videos that have those other forms, and if I feel the inspiration, I'll definitely make more with those forms because I do have some here. But right now, I'm really loving these hats. Really, really loving these dimensional hats. What a beautiful centerpiece this would be. Okay, so these are on wire too, so I can just pierce them straight down into that little foam hat band that we made, or you can use a little hot glue if you want to cut them into pieces. You've seen me do it both ways here. Look at this. And you know, one of the best parts is I'm using up materials that I had left over from spring and summer in this hat. I don't want to waste anything. I save stuff, I can use it for something else, but look how pretty this is. I really like this. I hope you like it as much as me because I really like it. Now these little rings that I told y'all is my favorite little Dollar Tree Halloween item. I cut the ring off the back and I'm going to find a way to attach this to this hat tip. And I decided I'm going to use a pin, just a sewing needle. I'm going to add some hot glue, stick it on the back. I'm going to add hot glue to actually the pokey part or the needle part. Carefully stick it into the end of the hat. Let that set up for a minute. And once it is dry, looks like a little silver string hanging down, like he's just hanging by a little string. Oh, I love it. The next one is a fairy pumpkin. Okay, y'all, we're sticking with those same colors. It's a little pumpkin that I have. I've got two different shades of purple. One is a color shift. Two different shades of like a teal color. One is a color shift. This is a Timu fairy that I have had for a while. I'm going to use a little block or foam or something to help with putting this together. Some more of that beautiful heather in quotations. Yes, I did air quotes, like y'all could see that. And then some fine point little brushes. I've got some of these little papers that you can use. I just wanted to show y'all. There are 100 in here if you want to use this for when you're painting. Okay, so her dress is already purple. I like that. I like that her skin is kind of a gray color. I'm going to lighten it up just a little. I'm going to go over my fairy. If you don't want to do this on yours, you certainly don't have to. But I'm going to go over her and repaint and touch up because that's just how I like to do it. It brings me joy to do that. All right, so once the purple is done and dry, I'm going to go over, as you see, I chose like a silvery white color to paint her skin because she is a magical fairy and she is shimmery and beautiful. I'm going to use some of this glorious gold to paint her hair. I'll use that teal on the wings. Teal, aqua, whatever color you can see there on the bottle. I'm not wearing my glasses. Inside and outside of those wings. And then I want to show you what you can do if you don't have the colors you need for your pumpkin. You don't have this pumpkin. So get a black pumpkin or a regular pumpkin and paint it black with your chalk paint. Let it completely dry. Then you're going to grab some color shift paint or teal and purple if you don't have, you know, any special paint like I've got. And you're just going to sort of dry brush it all over your pumpkin. You're going to dry brush one color, completely let that dry, and then you're going to put your next color on. Seems simple enough, doesn't it? And actually, when I was doing this for y'all, just like to show you an example of how you can sort of mimic and get this look, I thought, wow, once it finished, it really looked even better. Okay, so I did a little special on her wings, a little more purple color shift toward her body, and then I dry brushed the color shift purple over the wings so it would catch on all the little veining there. Making sure everything dries, I took the color shift in the purple and put it on top of all the purple on her dress and her body and let that dry. If I left all of that in the video, y'all, the video would be an hour and a half, probably 2 hours long. So do what you will with those. If there's ever a time where you really want to see me just do some detailed painting, let me know in the comments and I'll try to do that for y'all. if you really want that. If not, you know how to paint yourself, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so the last part of me putting the paint on this pumpkin is going to be that gold that I had in her hair. I'm going to add that on here too. And again, just dry brushing, letting it dry in between. But I like that it's got that streaky look. Okay, so she's going to need a platform. She is a heavy resin and that pumpkin is very light. So I decided to attach it all down to a candlestick. This is a candlestick from Dollar Tree. I'm using black chalk paint. I'm going to let it dry. And the same technique that I used on the pumpkin, I will be using on this little candle stand. Once everything is dry, we will glue that pumpkin to the stand. Everything is secure. She has been glued onto the top of the pumpkin on her behind and under her knees. She fits perfectly there. But you can use foam or little wood pieces to block and to hold her up if that's what you need to do on your pumpkin. Depends on your size, really. Then I'm going to take some of that greenery and put around the top of the pumpkin and under where she's sitting. This is going to help disguise the places where there is some glue, of course, and it just looks like she's sitting in a little flower bed. I'm just going to add a few pieces here and there. You could certainly use that fall grass or whatever it was called that has the little pinkish purple flowers. You could use something like that. You could put a leaf underneath her if you wanted to do a different, color or whatever. Certainly. But I like the idea. This is carrying it through so that all three of our pieces look similar and that they could all be used together. Just tucking those little stems here and there, cutting off the thick part of it where it attaches to the limb so that it isn't so bulky. And I'll just put them here and there like I said. And then I'm going to work on her crown. I'd really like to add these pieces up there to that little floral crown that she has for more detail, and I just think it will give it a little more of an earthy look. And I would think that a fairy would have, an actual flower crown on her head. And look how pretty that looks. She's sitting on the flowers and she's picked herself a little crown. Her wings are iridescent and just beautiful. I'm going to take one of these rings apart, put her to the side, then we'll take this little gem out of the middle. I'm going to add some hot glue in the middle of that flower she's holding and then pop that down right in there, and it fits perfectly. They also have the orange spiders, so if you did a different color, you could do orange if you wanted to. But look how pretty. I think this is a really pretty piece too. Again, magical and mysterious and otherworldly and just charming. She's just a beautiful, beautiful little fairy. Love her. Love her very much. The first project is our cabinet of curiosities. All right, so I'm going to start off with this little tray or a cabinet that I found at Goodwill. I have a variety of stickers, so what you're going to see is just some options you could use. So I've got some stickers, and these are the ones that are kind of 3D, and they look kind of old. And I've got some wood butterflies. I've got a variety of stickers and stamps from Temu, depending on what kind of theme you're going for. I've got a little lighted lantern from Dollar Tree. Got a frame, some little pumpkins, a raven, a squirrel. a variety of these mesh ribbons from Dollar Tree, and these are from Temu. I'm going to take a look at these. Very cute. These just came in. I just got them. This is not a sponsored video, but I have found I'm getting some very unique craft pieces from Temu, so that's why I share those with you. And the prices are good, but you know, you can decide on your own where you want to spend your money. Very cute. These are so nice. I knew I had to have them. When I saw it, I just knew I had to have them for our vintage Halloween. Okay? Then you can use a variety of little plastic insects. Got some little, these are actually cupcake toppers. Charms from a bracelet. Little trees, little branches. Some things from Dollar Tree, stars and bones. They're just foam. These little picks from Dollar Tree. A candy corn looking tree from Dollar Tree. And then from Dollar Tree Plus, I have 2 boxes of these little pieces, and we're going to be using a couple from each box. They're very nice and definitely worth the $5 because you get at least 5, sometimes 6 in a box, so it's definitely worth your money. And they're bigger than the little fairy figurines that you can find in the garden section. Okay, so here is our box, and we're going to try to find things that will fit in the spaces. For now, I'm going to turn the box sideways, and we're going to just kind of play around with placement. Don't become overwhelmed. Just, you know, see what you like and see what fits in the different little spots. And we'll give each of the little things that we like a little home. The tree is too big to go in the larger place and the bigger slots there, but these trees can be cut down. They're just on a wire, a twisted wire, so you can cut this down. I'm going to cut the tip off of the tree, and I'll be trimming up the bottom too. You can see here, I'm going to work on the bottom a little bit. Sometimes I get nervous about cutting into pieces, but then I just have to remind myself, you know, I paid $1.25 for it. If I mess it up, I have another one. Not a big deal. Okay. Now I've got it where it will fit. And it'll just fluff right out like it, you know, it did before if you just kind of play around with the fibers. Be sure you dump your fibers out of there. This looks like spider web. So for this project, I'm going to use it for that. I've just doubled it over, and yeah, that's going to fit in there. I like that as a background. You can use construction paper, or you can use any kind of crafting paper or wallpaper in the back if you want to do that. But because of the depth and because I want to have some dimension in here, you're not really going to see what's in the far back. If you get up close and look, you can, but some of these you're not really going to be able to see. But I'm still going to show them to you so you have an idea of what you can use. Think of all those bits and pieces you have from Halloween crafting gone by that are just maybe in your bowl of scraps, or you didn't know what to do with the pieces, but for some reason you can't part with them. This is a great opportunity to use all those little extra pieces. I did not have to buy not one single thing new for this project. I had all of these. I bought these thinking I was going to make a little village with them, but I thought they fit perfectly in this box, so I'm just going to use them in the box. All right, so I want to get that white tone down a little bit, so, you know, for my choice, I'm just going to use some antiquing wax over all of the whites that I might be using in here. I am going to place this forward and hold it in place until the glue is set. This one will go, it'll extend slightly outside of the box, but for the most part it fits in there. And I've just added some glue to hold that in place too. See that? I'm taking this little sculpture of the hear no, speak no, see no, you know, and I'm going to put him in here. He is a little too small for the big spots, and he's a little definitely too big for the smaller places. So what I'm going to do is just cut it down. This is a thin wood, like a veneer or, you know, something really thin. And I'm just going to use my clippers to snap the sides, and then my bull nose pliers to rock back and forth and cut off the inner part. And I'm going to go do this in little sections, in 3 different sections, all the way to the back of the box. So now we have one long narrow spot. I don't want splinters, so I'm going to take my little emery board and just sand it down on both sides. Makes it look nice too. And you won't be able to see where we cut the divider out. If that's a concern, just grab some antiquing wax and go over the lighter spots. Now, I want him to go here, but I want it to look more like sort of like a topiary, I guess. So I'm going to have to give it some more height by standing it up. This is just a scrap piece that I have. You can use blocks from Dollar Tree or whatever you have that you can stack this on top of and just put it right on top. Now, an idea, if you don't have one of these boxes, if you look at those toys, Melissa and Doug toys, a lot of times they have divisions in their boxes, puzzle boxes and things like that. So consider picking something that up like that at the craft store. You won't have as many slots in it, but you can make it work for sure. For this little lighted feature, I am going to use Velcro dots. I use 2 in the back to begin with, and then I do add 2 to the front later on, which you do not see. To get them in the right spots, I'm going to add the soft side down to the lantern, and then the prickly side is going to be what's touching the box. So when I put it in here, I've put them together so they line up, and I'm going to just squish them down and hold them in place until until I feel like it's had enough time to kind of grab. Then you can just take it out, turn it on, turn it off. Yay! Happy dance. Happy dance. Love it when things come together. Okay, so we can turn this back off, save our battery. Okay, now we're going to keep going, and I'm again doing the same thing. If it's something that I know I'm going to leave in that spot, I'll leave it there. If not, then I'll just kind of move it around till I get it like I like it. Now on this one, I am also going to be using a mahogany, I think it's the mahogany, no, it's the walnut furniture repair marker. And I'm going to use that to just kind of trace out and give it a little more detail so it doesn't disappear when we get it in the box. You can put that on and then quickly, you can kind of blend it out a little bit with your baby wipe. Okay, so this is a bracelet. I have 2 of these. I bought one to craft, one to wear. I'm going to bend this out. It's sort of it's metal, but it's kind of soft and flexible. So I'm just going to bend it out straight, and I'll show you what to do with that in a moment. We're going to skip around a little bit, so bear with me. Now this one also, I've got it toward the front of the box. This is going to make some shadows behind it, plus it's going to bring it close enough to the front that the light will hit it and you can actually see what's in there instead of losing it in the back. If you choose to use something like these puffy stickers, you can put them in, and I just put mine all the way against the back wall. Now the benefit of these as opposed to something that is flat with no color is that there's enough dimension in it for the light to reflect off of it. So, you know. Okay, so now I've got some of these that look like books. I found these recently. I really like them. I'm going to put these in here to make it look like maybe there's some books on the shelf. And here's another one. You can trim them down if you want to trim them down, but I'm just going to use the 2 books here. I like that. You can also use hot glue if you want to make sure that everything stays in place once you get it exactly where you want to keep it. I'm going to add a little spider to the top just to kind of embellishment. There's this like sands through the hourglass. Do y'all know what that's from? It's been around a long time. Okay, so I'm just going to add my little sticker in there. Then I'm going to color my other white pieces like I said before. Let it dry. I'm going to grab these are just some jewelry pliers, but I pick up any kind of tool I find that I think I can use crafting, and I repurpose it for something else. So I'm going to bend the bottom so it almost has like a leg or a little stand to hold it. I prop the box up for this because I don't want the glue to drip to the back. I want this to sit right down in the glue, and I have it bent so that it's a tight squeeze and it'll hold itself in place. For this little broom piece, I'm just going to take the colored stick off. You can paint yours if you would like. And I'm going to go over this with a little antiquing wax. This is just a dowel rod that I cut down. I want it to look more like a natural stick. A little hot glue and stick it right back in there. Rather than having the cartoony colors here, I'm going to wrap this with a little bit of burlap. And then I will also be coloring the black part of this later. I'm just going to embellish it somewhat. So stay tuned so you can see for sure what we do. Then you can just glue and trim that off. Okay? So I wasn't certain about where I wanted the hourglass. So now that I know, I'm going to add my glue and then I'm going to put it in there. You can add moss if you want to the bottom of these, if you would like to do that. But y'all, I'm planning on doing another one of these in more of a sort of a gothic, dark academia, dark cottagecore look. So be sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss that, because ugh. And by the way, I am going to be changing my room up from the cottage, like a light cottage core. It's real neutral in here. I'm going to be changing it to dark cottage core. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know and I will try to share some of that with y'all. Okay, so this is just a little bit of that sand colored paint, and I'm just kind of brushing it over a little bit. I love to just keep blending out and adding colors and layers like it's old, you know? Like it's old and it's been loved before and we're loving it again. So I'm gonna take that spider web track there and add a bunch of spiders to it. I have this little pot and it came in a bag. I think this was from St. Patrick's Day at Dollar Tree. But I'm going to take this pot and I'm going to color this with chalk paint because it's a real shiny color and I want it to look like it's old. So we'll start off with the black paint and let that dry thoroughly. While that's drying, I'm going to make a bunch of balloons for one of our little ghosts. Now, to make it easier to stick to the back of the ghost, I'm going to use a pipe cleaner to wind these together. And then that is easier to stick down. It kind of grabs the glue and will hold it in place on the back. He is going to be a little bit forward in the box. There's going to be spaces behind him, but the dimension I love. Okay, so he's glued in place. He's not going anywhere. You can also add a little glue to the back of his little balloon there. I'm going to add in some rub-ons in case this is something that you might have and that you might like to use. These are from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to burnish it down. It's a window. It's really nice. And then I'm going to take another one, and this is like a rose with something on it from the same sheet. I'm going to put it down. And I know we have talked before on this channel about happy accidents. Well, we have a happy accident, or I'm not going to blame y'all for it. I have a happy accident. You can see here that it's pulled off. I knew that it was going to happen when it happened, but I'm going to show you how to make that look like you did it on purpose. So I'm going to take some rich espresso and I'm going to go over this pot and I'm going to make it look like maybe it was a bronze or brass pot that is just burnt because it's been on the spit forever, you know. I'm going to color it and I'm only going to go over the one side that's going to be exposed, go under the lip, over the lip, and dots, pounce it all over until you are comfortable with the amount of coverage that you get, and be sure that you do the handle of that as well. Set it aside and let that dry. Then I'm going to move on to another section. Y'all, when my mind starts going, oh my goodness, I hope y'all can follow me. Just jump around with me for a little bit, okay? Let's just pretend like we're all in Brandy's head right now, okay? Beware though. Be very aware. It gets nuts in there sometimes. Okay, a little bit of hot glue on the top, a little bit of hot glue on the bottom. I'm just explaining what I'm doing since I didn't think it pertinent to show you what I was doing. And then I'm going to go over and just kind of tap on that same, whatever's left in the brush. I'm going to tap that on to the picture. I'm also going to put it on the lantern. Then I'm going to put it on the wood pieces I have in there. I'm also going to put a little bit on my tree trunk, you know, just wherever. Okay, so now that the pot is dry, I'm going to take some of this meshy ribbon, I'm going to kind of ball it up, put it in the pot, and then I have these two bones. I've had these forever. I did them last year, and I probably thrifted them because I find little odds and end pieces of stuff that are not in bags when I go to the bins, so I just pick it up. But you can use those foam Dollar Tree bones if you want to, and you can antique those a little bit with the antiquing wax. I'm going to add some hot glue, and that is some smoking hot glue. Put that pot in there with the pretty side facing forward. Ooh, I love it. She looks like she's over the pot. Then I'm going to take another little picture that I like, and this one has a skeleton on it. I'm going to add him in here. These pictures came from a package that I think I ordered from Amazon. If I can find that link, I'll grab it and I'll put it in the description box for you because, yeah, I love them. It's several different prints in, I think, 4 different sizes. So, okay, so for more dimension and support, I'm going to take another block here and I'm going to paint it black. I'm going to put this little black ghost, and this is just top of a coffee stirrer. I mean, I'm telling you, you're just going to go nuts here. You just do whatever. I'm going to put it down in the box with that broken stencil, and I also put a sticker in there beside it. And then to cover up that shiny, I'm just going to cover it with the black paint that's left in the brush. I'm going to go back over and add a little more black paint here and there just to make sure that everything is blended and everything looks consistent throughout the project. Now, I love this raven. Absolutely love it, and y'all know I love my ravens. Put your spectacles on. And then I'm going to trim off all of this white. I want to make a picture with this, and I don't want that white in the background. Needs to be trimmed up a little bit more. Just don't want to cut my words off. And then it's going to fit here. I'm going to take my paint. I'm just using what's in that brush. I'm just going to push it down and just kind of make it look messy and distressed and just ew. Give it a chance to dry. Then you're going to peel the backing off your sticker and just apply it somewhat toward the center. Now, the fact that we painted it black on the outside will give you a little bit of freedom if you can't get it lined up exactly, because you're not really going to notice. Now again, same thing, just to take a little shine out, I'm going to add a little bit of that black paint that's from the brush in there. I'm going to add some hot glue and put that right down in there. Hi, Mr. Ghost. Bye, Mr. Ghost. All right, so I'm going to add my raven up here. Look at that little splinter poking out, y'all. I do get it. I'm going to glue it down in there with that raven picture. I'm going to take some of these ornaments from Dollar Tree. These, of course, like I said, everything pretty much is from last year. I'm going to add some glue here, and I'm just going to make like a little, again, a little stacked thing. I'm going to take this frame that once was yellow, and we painted it with black. And I am going to, and I actually just spray painted it. I'm going to take that same espresso color and pounce it all over this frame to bring out the beautiful details, and inside that lip too. And then I'm going to use some double stick tape and stick it on the back of my picture. Then I am going to go inside of the backing and kind of blur that out with a little bit of that same espresso color, just so it blends in a little bit better. Put the backing back on, and then of course tear this off so it will lay flat. It's just a little kickstand on there. And you can also take that off with a screwdriver if you want. I'm going to take that same espresso and go over the lighter spots. It's really going to make that pop out. Then I'm going to add this frame right here. And it's on the outside. It doesn't go all the way on the inside. I'm totally fine with that. I like it. I like all of the texture and dimension, and there's so much to look at. You want the idea to be that every little box is its own little world, and it just makes sense. You know, it just has something interesting in every spot, in every little room in this house, if you will. These are some remaining beads that I had left over from the sign that we did, the light up sign that we did. And then I'm going to take one of these plastic pumpkins and squish in the back so he'll be flat, and we can glue him right inside of there. Add your glue and pop him right in there. I'm going to take the charms off of that bracelet, and then I'm going to use them as ornaments on the tree. I used 3 of them as ornaments. Then I'm going to take the boo and put him right over here on the ghost. Do you see how we're mixing everything up here? We're mixing up our elements. We've got some resin, some paper, some metals. I'm going to take the tip of that tree, and it's going to be over here by our picture. I'm going to add some of these little bronze-looking butterflies that I found in my stash. And you can see the end of the black broom. I added some bronze to that, and it really looks like a different broom now. It's going to be just on the outside of the box, just kind of freestanding. I'm going to put a little glue on this little ghosty and put a butterfly on his hand. See, there's so much going on in here. This is so much fun. I love this, and I really hope that you try something like this because, oh my goodness, I had a blast. So I put the light bulb over there by the little skull topiary. I'm going to take that wooden butterfly off because to me it wasn't meshing. It didn't feel right. So I just removed it, but you can do whatever you like. I really wanted that metal in there. Put the Halloween sign right on the top. And I'm going to continue to add all over the place. Here's one of those cute ornaments. The little child has the pumpkin over its face. Here's a little witch girl. Put her up there by the witch stuff. And then this little witchy is going to go down here. Okay, I put some little stones from Dollar Tree in here. It's just a little rock. And I'm going to add some brown paint just on the inside of this bottle for the witch. And I'm going to add hot glue to this cork because I don't want that to leak out. I'm going to add another little butterfly here on the tombstone. It's just going to cover up that spider. I'll add the bottles in here and there where they make sense. And again, I'm not pushing everything to the back. Here's an idea. For the wool of that, I cut up a pom-pom. And I'm going to stick that all on the inside. You won't see it that much, but like I said, if you're curious, and this is our cabinet of curiosities, and you get up close and look, you can see all those little details. So I'm going to just glue this one right in this spot. Look at everything we have going on in here so far. How fun! How fun! Okay, so here's another one of those pumpkins. I'm going to squish it in the back. I've had a bag of these pumpkins forever, and I think I finally used them all. Maybe have one or two left, but they're so vintage looking to me and so cute. They fit nicely into these projects. Okay, I'm going to add him in there. And then look at this. This came off of a banner. But I've got so much mixed media in here. I love it. Then you see the little Halloween, the little girl over there. She's on a piece of foam board, and it just fits right inside out of the same pack. I'm going to go over it with that espresso, and then I'm going to paint that frame out with a little bit of that black chalk paint. I'm going to paint it out, and then I'm going to smear it with my finger a little bit to make it look old. And I'm decided to go in here and do the same thing. I'm going to take that white out by just covering it up with some black and a thin brush. Simple enough. All of this just helps give it a more of an aged look. Okay? Then whatever is left, I'm going to go back over. I'm just taking a broad look at everything that's going on in here, and I'm going to go over the stickers, the puffy stickers, everything with the same espresso. I'll add a spider down here, and of course we want to give him some highlights, so check out how he looks with that espresso on him. Nice. You could also use bronze. Now we have to have lights in this box, do we not? And rather than putting string lights in, I thought, how about little individual flickering candles? Yes. So you can cover up the flame of the candle here, the little plastic top, and spray paint it black. It would probably be better because I use chalk paint and it does chip off, but you know, you can always go back in and touch up. Let the candles set aside and dry. Then I'm going to go over with some of this black. This is like you use in gift bags or whatever. And I'm going to use it to just fill out some of those little hollows, just again for a little more interest. I'm going to add a bat. This is just one of those wall bats. It's just like a little plasticky piece. I'm going to elevate it on a black block, glue it down above the ghost, and then I'm going to tone it down a little bit with the black chalk paint. This is how this little beauty is going to look before we put lights in it, of course. Here are our lights, and I'm just going to add them here and there. I thought, how about putting one down in the pot where the witch is cooking? That might give it a little extra something, a little extra spook. So I put it in the top and put the bones back in. So for the first project, this is our overlook. I'm extremely pleased with the way this came out, and I hope that you are inspired from this. I hope that you look at this and you take the inspiration from it and that you make something like this of your own. Now, I'm calling it a cabinet of curiosities, even though there are no doors or whatever, but you get the idea. You could certainly use the little things that have doors and stuff like that on them.